Hi guys, welcome to another fun craft with Miss Sarah. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this wreath. This is a really fun craft. So to make this, you're going to need a paper plate, which I'm sure you have laying at home, just one of those plain ones. You're going to need some tissue paper. I found this in my leftover stash from last year. I do recommend red, but if you want to make it a different color, that's okay. You're also going to need some construction paper. I use this green paper. If you don't have construction paper, you can use white paper or lined paper, but you want to make sure that you color it the color that you're going to want your wreath, okay? You're also going to need a really good pair of scissors. So I've got my good pair with me here today. And I also recommend a hole punch if you have one. If you don't have one, you can use your scissors, that's fine. You're also going to need glue, and for this one, it doesn't matter if you use the liquid glue or the stick glue, both are going to work great for this. And then I also recommend if you want to use ribbon to hang it or to tie the bow, you're going to want some type of curling ribbon. I have gold and silver here, but actually today I think I'm going to try using some yarn. So I have this green yarn and I have this red yarn. So if you have twine at home, that will work just fine. You can even use shoelaces if you don't have anything else. Those are definitely good. And the last thing, of course, is some newspaper. You want to have something to protect the surface that you're working on, all right? And that's pretty much everything that you're going to need for this craft. So I'm going to let you go ahead and get your materials, and I'll see you back in a moment. We'll get started. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with my paper plate here. And the first thing I'm going to do is fold it in half. And we're going to be squishing our paper plate a lot in this craft, so it's okay if it has that crinkle or that seam, okay? We're going to pretty much cover it up. So we'll get our scissors out, and we're going to cut along this inner line here. I'm going to cut that out. Kind of right at the top of where the little ridges start in the plate. All right, so you should have something like that. And then you should have something like that. Now, if you feel like you didn't quite get that inner line, you can go back over it with your scissors and just kind of smooth it out. Which is what I'm going to do right now, because sometimes I like to do the big cut with half the plate and then kind of go back over it. All right, so that kind of gets most of it. And remember that we're going to be covering this up with paper, so it's okay if your cut is uneven. That's not even going to matter at all. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. And now what I recommend doing is taking your construction paper or your base color, and we're going to cut some strips of this. Okay, so you can either cut it this way if you want, you can cut it this way, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do probably, I don't know, this is really good scissor skills practice as well if you have a little one. So I like to just cut several strips at once until I see how much I'm going to need. I like to have them different sizes too, and you can always cut your pieces to size if you need to. So as you can see, I'm just bringing it down and cutting my paper like that. Okay, now what I like to do is take maybe 3 of them at a time, kind of line them up like this so you've got 3 of them in a row, and then just cut them. So I'm going to probably try to match about the width of my plate here for my cut. So my plate is about that wide, and I'm going to try to kind of match that, so about there. I'll try to cut it about there. And just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect. They don't even have to be straight. You just want cuts. All right, so now I should have this great stack of little papers. I'm gonna do the same thing with the next 3 strips. I'm gonna kind of eyeball it. And then once again, I've got my stack of little papers. Perfect. All right, so I've got my little pile of papers here. And I've got my glue stick. And now we're gonna use the glue stick and press it on there. So for this craft, I'm trying to remember. I think I wanted to do this. Did I do it this way? I think I did do it that way. I don't think that was how originally I planned, but that was the way I did it. So we'll do it that way. All right, so you have it going this way where it's shaped kind of like a bowl, you know, going up. That's your plate. Like, so this is the side that you would eat off from. We're gonna flip it over. So this is the side you would eat off. We're gonna turn it over and have it be flat like this, or have it be like that. So it should be domed, okay? And that's the shape that we want. So now we're gonna take our glue stick. Gonna get my glue out and put it on there. We're just gonna start putting our papers on there. So you kind of wanna put a lot, and then you wanna grab your paper and just stick it. Now don't worry if the lines stick out a little bit, that's totally fine. It gives it character. If you've ever seen a natural wreath made out of tree branches, they don't line up perfectly. And if they do, then it's not a real tree. Okay, because it should be a little bit uneven. Now the main thing here as you're going around is you just don't want to have any huge big spots of white. So you want to try to cover up the white plate as much as you can. So if you notice, I'm kind of trying to put my pieces close together. Not so close that they're kind of overlapping a little, but I just want to make sure that I've got a good coverage going on. And notice that I'm putting a little bit of glue on that just to kind of help with that coverage. Now I don't have any specific rhyme or reason or formula for picking my best pieces. I'm just kind of grabbing and sticking. So that's what I recommend. It's better actually if you don't have a plan. It comes out better. And it's okay if it looks kind of weird, kind of off, kind of, I don't know, kind of silly. That's actually the best part of this craft, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a little off, a little silly. So right here I ended up getting a little bit of my white, no big deal. I'm gonna grab one of these pieces and I'm gonna stick it right across the edge there. No big deal. Go back over it, start up again. That's what I love about this, because you don't know how your pieces are gonna fit together, and that's part of what makes this really fun, but also kind of challenging. And I like that it's kind of challenging. I think that's the part that makes it unique and special, because you could do this craft over and over and over, and no 2 wreaths that you make are gonna look exactly the same. Because it is challenging, because it is different. Now don't worry about where you're putting your glue, especially if you have one like I do with this purple glue, because the purple glue will dry clear. So you don't really need to worry about that part. I'm just going to keep sticking this as I'm going around here. And I'm really just trying to make sure that I don't have any huge patches of white that are sticking out or showing too badly. See, I've got a little bit there on that edge again. Just no big deal. Just gonna grab a piece here. We'll just cover that right up. And I kind of like that kind of funky edge. I always think that looks really fun and unique. As I said, you could do this craft over and over and over, and you'll never have the exact same wreath. It's just impossible to do that. Just going to look different every single time. You see I'm getting some glue around the edges, so that's why this newspaper is very important right now. You want to make sure to have that newspaper there to protect the surface that you're working on. All right. Almost done here. Nice to be able to just wipe it off on the paper if you get some on your hands too. If you do like I do and your wreath kind of starts sticking to your paper, you can move to a different spot and then you can just gently lift it up from the paper. Don't pull hard because you don't want to rip it. You don't want to rip the paper and then have the paper connected still to your wreath either, so you kind of want to protect both things. And you notice my technique here is I'm putting the glue on and then I am pressing pretty hard. And that's because I want to be sure that the glue really grabs and that it's really sticking onto my plate. It's really important to make sure you have a nice grab of glue on there. Let's see if I've got a big piece here. That'll work. All right. So once you have that pretty much covered in, more or less, how you want it, you can just kind of scoot these other pieces out of the way. And then I recommend just kind of taking a minute to check over your wreath, make sure that you have all of the white surfaces covered that you want. I think I've got that pretty good. I kind of watch it as I stick it on there just to kind of make sure that I have that. Now, because I don't like to be distracted by sticky places on my newspaper, I am going to go ahead, turn that over. Go ahead, turn that over. Okay. So I've got this great wreath now. Okay, now, as you see on my example, we've got the green part, which is the base part, and now we need to put these fun little berries on there. And for that, we're gonna use our tissue paper. So I'm gonna start with this big sheet of tissue paper, and all I'm gonna do is just cut one strip, because you really will find you don't need a lot. I'm just gonna cut my strip. And I'm not even going to make it a really big strip. I'm probably just going to make it maybe about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, something like that. And it doesn't matter if it's not straight or you don't get it, the edges just right. It really doesn't matter for this, because you're not even really going to be seeing the edges. All right, and that's all you need. I'll set that aside. So literally, this is going to be all you need is just this nice strip here. And I'm just going to cut little squares out of this. So just like we did with the paper where we have our strip, now I'm just going to cut, again, some little strips. Okay, so you should just have these little squares when you're done, so you've just got little strips of them. Doesn't matter if they're not perfectly square, doesn't matter. Not at all. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is decide, look at your wreath and decide what you want, where you want the top of it to be and where you want the bottom to be. It doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna have the bottom facing me and my top of my wreath is gonna be facing you. And I recommend working that way, but you can do it upside down too. It's whatever you're comfortable with. So I am thinking I'm gonna want this for my top piece and this for my bottom piece. So that means I'm gonna be putting my berries in this area right here because my bow's gonna go here and the string to hang it's gonna go here. So I wanna make sure that I focus on this side, the side area for my berries. Now for the berries, this is very simple. You're just gonna take your square right about in the middle, just pinch it like that. And then with your other hand, just bring it up like this. And then I just give like a small little twist so that you kind of have this little flat part right there. And that's the part that we're gonna glue down. So you'll get your glue. And I think I'll start with a nice little berry right there. Let's put that little bit of glue, squish them on there. Squish it flat like that, and then you can pull it down like this, just to kind of open it a little bit. And there you go. You've got that really great kind of 3D texture going on. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'm gonna take it, and there's two sides to your paper. So when you feel it with your thumb, there's one side that's kind of waxy, and then there's one side that doesn't feel waxy. It's not real smooth, it feels more like regular paper. The regular paper side is the side that you're gonna wanna pinch and then pull up. That's the side that you wanna glue down onto the wreath. If you did the waxy side, it's not a big deal. It's just sometimes the waxy side will need a little bit extra glue. So it's not really that big of a deal. But the paper side just works a little bit better. So I'm gonna put it like that and then open it up a bit. So I've got my berry there. Okay, and once again, a little bit of glue. Feel for my paper side. Got it. And pull it up. And if you want to add extra berries, you can. I kind of spread mine out on the other one, and I'm actually putting them a little closer on this one, so I may end up needing an extra strip after all of the tissue paper. Just gonna stick it on there, open it up, and then I think I'll put one more here. Yep, I'm gonna need another strip. Okay, not a big deal. And if you didn't want to open these up, fold them back down, you don't have to. If you want to leave them kind of flat on there, that's your prerogative. You can do that. There's no law that says that you have to do it any certain way. You just do it any way that you feel good about and want to do it. There is no law. Okay. Myself another little strip here, so I'm just going to cut a couple extra. Okay. So now I know I'm going to put my hanger dot here, so I'm just going to put one maybe right there. Get my tissue, feel for my wax side, make sure I've got my paper side, pinch, twist up. Easy peasy, rice and cheesy. All right. And I really like this because it really gives this craft a 3D effect to have the flowers kind of sticking out. Now, if you don't have tissue paper, maybe you have some of those little pom-poms, those little fuzzy balls that people sometimes will put or make crafts out of. If you have some of those will work just as well. You can use red ones, green ones, whatever colors that you want. You can copy this same template for all the seasons and all the holidays of the year if you want. You could do like one that has a purple base, and you could put little pink tissue paper on it for Valentine's Day, which is coming up later in February. So whatever you want to do, this is your craft. You make it look how you want. This is all about you and your creativity and how you want it to look. And just like the placement of these, you don't have to copy my design here. You can do whatever you want. If you want to make your berries closer together, farther apart, you just do whatever you like. There is no law that says that you have to copy me at all. You make it how you want. This is your wreath. I want you to make it special and unique to you. That's what I like to see. That special and that special uniqueness. That's my favorite part of doing crafts like these. Because you never know what you're going to get, and it's always going to be something amazing. All right, so once you've got your tissue paper more or less how you want it, I think I'm going to put one more just right there. I all of a sudden feel inspired. Put one right there. I just feel like that's going to look fabulous. All right, there I go. Okay, and then I think I'm going to put one more right here because I have an extra one. Might as well. Might as well. So if you wanted kind of smaller berries, you can cut smaller squares. If you want kind of bigger looking berries, you can cut bigger squares like I did. All right, so there's my wreath. There I go. So first I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to use my hole punch. And this, you can put your glue away. We're all done with that for now. So I'm going to grab my hole punch. Now if you don't have a hole punch, you can do like I showed you in my snowflake video where you will bend your paper plate over and then cut a V going here and here into the paper and then take your V out and you'll have a hole, okay? I happen to have a hole punch, which is great, but if you don't, that's fine. You can fold the paper plate down and use the, well, I'm gonna do it this way so it comes out the top and I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so right in the middle of my plate, kind of, sort of here. Squish extra hard. There we go. It's gonna pop it out. I have that perfect little hole right there. Love that. Okay, now for my bow at the bottom, I'm gonna make 2 holes with my hole punch. Not too close together. I kind of want them not too close, but not too far either. Kind of far apart. And I'm not gonna worry about where my paper goes right now. I can always pick that up later. All right, so now I've got this hole at the top up here, and then I've got my 2 holes down there, right? So my 2 holes down here are gonna be my bow. So for my bow, I think I wanna use this really nice green yarn. I think this is a really pretty color. And I don't think I actually need this whole length of it. I think probably I'm only gonna need maybe this much. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it to the length that I want. I may not even need this much, but better safe than sorry. And because I went ahead and pulled this red yarn too, found this red yarn, I am gonna go ahead and use this as well. Because, you know, serendipity. Might as well. All right, so I've got these 2, and I'm just gonna use the green one so that I can have the same length of my red one. It may end up being too long, I'm not sure, we'll see. And now I'm gonna thread it through my holes. So I've got it on this side. Now I'm just going to thread it through the first hole. Perfect. And now I need to thread it through the second hole. Seem to have a little bit of glue on my fingers, which is making that a little bit more challenging. If that happens to you, go ahead and wash your hands and then come back to the craft. Okay, so now you can see I've got it threaded through on the back there, coming out in the front. So now what I'm gonna do is make a bow. I'm going to tie a bow, and if you have ever tied your shoes, then you know exactly how to do this. If you still need help tying your shoes, then this might be good practice for you. And you can also ask someone for help, right? Pretty sure you've got someone there that would love to help you. Okay, so I've got my first tie. I'm gonna make my loop, go around, and then bring it through that second loop and pull. Perfect. Okay, I can make my loop as big or as little as I want it. Now, I'm going to be honest, I tend to be a fan of kind of big floppy type bows, but as I thought, this bow is a little bit bigger than I wanted. I don't really need it to be quite, I don't need my strings to be quite that long, so I think I'm going to go ahead and cut them. I kind of like it to be floppy, but not too floppy with this little short hanging down. And I picked this green because you can see it's a really dark color green, and I like that contrast against my paper plate. I think that that looks really pretty. So I'm done with that part. Now for the top and to hang it, I can use one of the little pieces that I cut. And if I want to, I can actually use two of them. But I think for today, I'm just going, actually, on second thought, I think I might want a little bit longer piece, even than that. I'm not sure. Let me see. If you feel like you want a longer piece, you can use the curling ribbon that I showed you, or you can cut another piece of yarn. It's whatever you want to do. So now I'm going to hold it like this, even out my lengths, and see if I can get a nice little knot going here. I tried doing this with curling ribbon on my example, and that's kind of the reason that I'm not using that in the video. It's because I kind of discovered that curling ribbon is a little bit difficult to work with, and this is a kid's craft after all. So I thought, if I'm having trouble with it and I'm not a kid, I can't imagine how you're gonna have trouble. So there it is. That is my awesome wreath craft. I hope you guys enjoyed making this. And remember, you can put your own spin on this. This can look however you want because it is your craft. So be sure to put your own special spin on it. If you don't have tissue paper, you can use stickers or even different colorful buttons. Right? If you don't have yarn or twine, you can use shoelaces or curling ribbon. You have options, right? And again, if you don't have construction paper, color, plain paper or lined paper, you have options. If you only have the kind of paper plates that are those kind of waxy ones, I know a couple of brands make them, not the ones with the ridges, but they're just kind of waxy. They might have some designs on the rim. That's okay. You can use those too. You might just need to use a little extra glue. No big deal. Use what you have, and I'm sure that whatever it is going to come out absolutely fabulous because you're fabulous. So how could it be anything else, right? All right, you guys, have a good holiday season. Thank you so much for tuning in to this wreath craft, and I will see you again soon with another great craft idea. Bye!